everybody, welcome to my second Toyota Tundra modifications video. I will put a link in the description and possibly here on the screen to my first video. I would suggest watching that one first because I will refer to some items that I did in this video that are covered in more depth on the first video. So consider watching that one first. It covers about 40 different modifications I made to this 2019 Tundra TRD Sport. So maybe consider watching that one first and then pop back over to this one, and it'll just make a little bit more sense. So I'll go ahead and get started, and we're going to go on the inside. First thing I wanted to mention, not really a mod, but just something that I think is good to consider. Underneath the driver's seat is a perfect spot for a first aid kit. So I got this one at Walgreens, and it fits in here really nice. And it's pretty good size first aid kit, so pretty handy to have something like that. So no matter where you're at, you've got everything that you need for the most part for first aid, and it just fits perfectly in that spot. So first aid kit is the first thing I wanted to mention, and we'll hop on in here. The second thing I wanted to mention was, and oh, by the way, all of these items I will put in the description as far as links to where to purchase them, links on some installation videos, and just some helpful info on all of this stuff. So just check that out later on. This next mod is the leather wrap steering wheel, and I'll give you a little bit more closer look at that. I picked, and you can order different color stitching that you want that kind of matches your Tundra. If you look at the shift knob, it's got red stitching on it. I don't know how well that's going to come through, but didn't do it because of that. I have kind of a red accent theme on my Tundra here for different things, so that's kind of why I chose the red. But anyway, going back to the steering wheel, on my 2008 Tundra, the steering wheel was wearing off on the very top right in here. It had probably 75,000 miles on it, so I was very surprised to see noticeable wear on the steering wheel of my last Tundra. So that's really why I did this. Otherwise, I probably never would have done it. The leather does feel really good. I like the perforated on the side where you typically grab, and then it's smooth on the top and smooth really on this bottom section here up to here. It's a little bit of a lengthy install to do it. It's very tedious. You need to be very detail oriented, kind of anal retentive on how you do things to make them look nice, but it can be done. You can do it. I'll again put a link to an installation video. Hopefully it's still out there in YouTube world, and you can kind of follow along that. The instructions that come with it are not the greatest, but there is a video that helps a lot. And then once you get going on it, you'll get the gist of everything. So that is the first mod. The second one I wanted to mention was the Toyota emblem. This is chrome by default, very shiny, reflects the sun in your eyes from time to time if it hits it right coming in, from the side or wherever. So I like that blacked out emblem. So that's just an overlay, so it just sticks over top of it with two-sided tape that they provide and everything. So turned out really nice, and you can get these in different colors and different styles, and a number of different things out there. So that's just the one that I picked. The next thing I wanted to mention in here was the window switching. As you know, in most all Tundra models, you only have auto on the driver's window, and it's only auto down, which is not really very helpful. It's useful, but this piece here, these switches and these two switches up here for the locking buttons, it is all one switch. This panel will come off, and this will be in there. This switching will be connected by some clips that will just unclip, of course, and there's a power harness clip that is plugged into it. So there's no, it's just, this is a plug and play, a true plug and play modification. You plug this in, the new unit, after you've got it put in place, and it just starts working. There's no software, no updates you need to make to anything in the truck. It just knows. The switching takes care of everything. So now I have auto up and auto down for driver, front passenger, and both in the back. Now all the other switches in the Tundra I left the way they are, but just this one here on the drivers, I can now auto up and down any window whenever I want, and it is super handy and highly recommended. Very cheap mod in terms of cost compared to other things I've done, and just super handy. So highly suggest that item as a mod for you. So I'm going to jump out here, and this part of the video is where it kind of references things that I showed in my first video. But if you recall, in video number 1, I went into pretty great depth the Spod HD switch panel. I had on here my front light bar. I showed you that in the first video. Red lights, which is just my under seat or under dash and rear footwell lighting. I went over that in the first video. Under hood lights that I have under the hood, of course. So these 3 items on the bottom have been added and are new, and I'll just discuss what they are. Pretty straightforward. The backup lights, I'll show you that when I step out and go to the back of the truck. Emergency response lights, I put flashing hazard lights in the rear headrest of the 2 headrests in the back to just give more hazard warning in certain situations. I'll talk about that a little bit more when I get out there too. And then lastly, probably one of my favorite mods that I've ever done is adding a electronic locking rear differential to the Tundra. As you all know, Tundras come with an open differential. You can get lockers on Tacomas and 4Runners, Land Cruisers, but they've never done one in the Tundra, in this model anyway. So that I added, it is an Eaton electronic differential, and I'll have some videos that will show you a lot of information about those and about locking diffs in general. And as far as installation goes, and I can lock it whenever I want to, but you're not going to want to push that. You're not going to want to engage that going 70 miles an hour down the interstate. I only use that, and I've had to use it in a few situations here in the Midwest, camping and winter and things like that. But I'm always stopped, or near stopped when I engage. In fact, I think every time I've ever engaged it, because I'm just on the cautious side of things. Before I've ever engaged the locker, I've been in a stopped position, turned it on, and then took off and engaged right away, and got me out of trouble that I was in. So that's just how I've done it. You can probably do it at a slow speed, and just the directions and information will tell you all about that and how to operate it more. So I won't get into a great depth about that, but that's just where I installed it. It does come with its own switch, like the emergency lights and the backup lights. They come with their own independent switch. So if you don't have an Spod set up in your Tundra, you'll just have to find a location for all those buttons and all those switches. So I just ran the locker up to the Spod unit because I wanted to turn it on and off with this panel. That's why I got this, so I can add accessories to the Tundra and just control them all in one location. So I just ran them up under the front hood, connected them all into the Spod, and now this controls it. So that is all of the mods, kind of really centered around the Spod. And before we jump to the back, just have one more mod to show in the back seat. And that is the rear cigarette lighter, which is not super useful, as we all know. I pulled that out and installed a fast charge unit, so I can do USB-C and regular USB fast charging directly in this port, which is super handy. It's nice to have that. I have a similar one in the front that I covered in video number 1. This is what I elected to do in the back. Used it multiple times for trips and just for people back here who want to charge their devices, and worked out really good. Looks factory, turned out nice. So now we'll jump to the back. Now in the headrest where I have those hazard lights, you can't really see it from this side, and I'll try to show it from the back window a little bit, but they're just really centered in the back, you know, of course facing that way, and you draw an outline of the light, the diameter of the light, and you'll just get your razor knife out and you will cut yourself that perfect circle that you drew in here. Maybe get one of those silver Sharpies and get yourself a hole in there, and you'll have to dig out the foam and stuff from the back, and it will friction fit in there. So make sure you cut your hole a little bit smaller than the actual light itself, because you don't want it to be loose. You want it to fit into a tighter hole that you've cut out and stay in place, and I've never had a problem with it coming loose. You can kind of see on that other headrest the reflection of the light in the glass there. But anyway, make it a small hole so it fits in nice. It'll be easy to do. And then your lights, just pick a side that you want to run them up to the front. You'll of course run them down the back, and as you probably know, these panels pop off and you can get underneath all the way up to the front. And I put mine in under the hood, of course, to the Spod unit, and that's how you get it up there. So you can kind of see this one here. It's kind of hard to see in the daylight, but again, just center it in your headrest, cut it the way I kind of talked about, and you'll be set. And what I'll do is when I'm done here in just a couple of moments, I will do another video at night, and I will go out maybe quarter mile, half mile behind the Tundra, so you can see what it looks like at night and just how much light and hazard you really get with them. But it will not be comparable to a police car or something like that. It's just not designed to be that. But you'll get noticed considerably more from just having your normal hazard lights on. Adding these to it would just be super handy. I just wanted the ability to do that in certain situations. Like I said, you know, if you're, you know, stuck alongside the road, busy interstate or a dark road, or even if you're doing, say, service work or volunteer work. There's been times that I've been out hanging up flags alongside the road, and I just wanted some extra light in the back so no one ran into me and knew that we were there working, and it just comes helpful in all those kind of situations. So never seen that before on a Tundra, and I wanted to add that. So the last thing is the license plate light bar. Just attaches to the plate, run up the side underneath your vehicle up to wherever you want to have your switching, and you can just turn this on and off whenever you want. Again, it's come in super handy in different situations, and I'll show this also in my night video. And I have to say that the quality of this particular brand that I'll link to is not the best. You'll see that there are a few LEDs that have burnt out, and this is probably 3 years old, 4 years old. It still works really good with a couple of LEDs that burn out, but I was very surprised that that happened so quick. I mean, these should last for 10 years, you know, easy, for the rare times that you use them. But just wanted to mention that if you're going to consider that. So that is the end of my modifications video here. Hope you enjoyed it and got some ideas for you.